Right, so could I start with Marie Gray for the Summit Road Society, please? We'll get printed ones. At this stage, everything's in order. In fact, I think they're all in order.
The only one to note is speaking 20 past 4.
Yeah.
Was originally for Friday, so I've loaded that to the Big Tin Can Hub separately.
Okay, so the only one is the 421 is from Fridays, so it's been loaded separately into the hub so that you can see that on today's date.
Yeah, just that we were told we were going to get a printout.
Sorry, the printouts will come. Sorry, and Celia King's not.
She has cancelled.
She's cancelled. So the 4:30 has cancelled. So they're the two changes to today's. Right, Marie. Sorry, apologies.
Marie Gray from the Summit Road Society. I'd like to introduce my colleagues as well. Bill Woods, who's our president, and Jeremy Agar, who's our vice president. So I think most of you have a good understanding about the Summit Road Society. We were founded in 1948 to further the vision of Harry Yell to preserve and protect the Port Hills. We own 4 reserves on the Port Hills. Ohenitahi above Governor's Bay, Omahu Bush and the adjacent, close to the mic. Is that right?
Is it on when it's green or is it on?
Yeah, it's on. Omahu Bush and the adjacent Gibraltar Rock. And we've also recently acquired the newly named Linda Woods Reserve, formerly Tussock Hill Farm, which is located between Horitani and Avoca Valley roads above Heathcote. We are also the lead organisation for the community project Predator Free Port Hills. So with respect to the annual plan, we're commenting on the biodiversity aspects because that's in our sphere of expertise, and we generally support the direction of the annual plan. We'd like to acknowledge the Council for the generous support that you provide to the Society in the form of an annual grant, and that annual grant is critical in terms of providing stability of funding and enabling us to future plan. We would also just like to highlight what the acquisition of Tussock Hill Farm, now Linda Woods Reserve, means for the Society. That's an additional 533 hectares of reserve land that's come into the Society's ownership that will be developed into a reserve for the public to enjoy. It was a massive job to acquire that property. However, the real work is still to come in terms of the actual work of developing it into the reserve, the management plan, safety matters. There's a whole lot of work that's going to come with this purchase, and that's why we'd like to request that the Council give regard to increasing their annual grant in light of the fact that our property has hugely increased and the work will hugely increase, and we need some funds to be able to fund the work that we plan to undertake there. We'd also like to highlight our Predator Free Port Hills initiative. Now, this was launched in November 2016 with the goal of 4,000 households trapping on and about the Port Hills, backyard trapping. We've got around 750 households on board now, so we're well on our way to achieving those goals. So it's really exciting, the Predator Free initiative, and the Council, of course, is a fellow signatory to the Pest Free Banks Peninsula initiative. We are trying to work together, a range of organisations collaboratively, to achieve this vision of a pest-free Banks Peninsula by 2050. Now, Pest Free Banks Peninsula put in their submission the need for a 60,000 contestable fund to support community groups getting going with community trapping, and we'd really like to lend our support to that. As a grassroots organisation, we know that Christchurch is ready for predator-free. We're getting multiple queries every week, people keen to get trapping on the Port Hills. And we also know that we're being approached by a range of different organisations, not on the Port Hills at all, who are keen to get going with trapping, backyard trapping, reserve trapping, community trapping. So we are on the verge of something very big here in terms of predator-free. And, you know, predator-free Christchurch, predator-free Canterbury is coming, and we would really encourage the council to sort of get on board in terms of that grassroots support of people who are really keen to make a difference. So we would support that effort to put that a contestable fund in for groups. We'd also like to urge the council to prioritise the development of an integrated Port Hills management plan. Now, I know the Society has talked about this for a number of years, but we'll keep talking about it. And this would enable the antisocial issues that the council has been grappling with to be addressed within the context of integrating the management of the road into the management of the Port Hills as a whole. So this in turn would enable the landscape, ecological, cultural and recreation values of the Port Hills to be the foundation from which all the other decisions are made. So I think that's it from me. Did you want to say anything, Bill?
Oh, could I just add just a little bit to that, just to show that the Summit Road Society is not just a name, it's an organisation that actually does things. As I say, we were the first, we're over 70 years old now, and it was very lonely for quite some time until other organisations came along. And of course the collection now, there's about 27 other organisations within the Greater Christchurch area that carry out the same conservation values that were started by the Summit Road Society. And of course, when we first started, we just used to object to everything that happened on the Port Hills. Then we found that by owning properties, of course, we didn't have to object so much because as being part of owners. And our cooperation, of course, with the Christchurch City Council and parks, the rangers and what have you, is absolutely superb. But if you come to our annual meeting on the 8th of May, you'll hear me on my President's report that our volunteer hours in the year of 2018 reached almost, and I'm not exaggerating, 10,000 hours by people who are supporting the work of the Summit Road Society, either in the actual preservation of the hills and work on the hills and what have you, and the predator-free project that we have. We led the way in 1948, and we still believe that we're leading the way in 2019, but we need money to do that. And we don't ask for a great deal of money, we just ask that anything that we get is comparable with what others. And as Mount Vernon and us being neighbours and about the same size, if we could get another grant about the same as what Mount Vernon gets, we will be able to do incredible things on the Linderwoods Park, so that everybody within Canterbury, or possibly the whole wide world, will be able to enjoy the environment. And just remember that on parts of that particular park itself, or the reserve, there are very exotic plants that need protection, and the Summit Road Society is committed to doing that, to keep that going. And so, as I say, that we're not just a society in name, we're a society that actually does things. Thank you. And my deputy here might have something to say. He was the promoter of the Port Hills Freeze.
Well, just very briefly, we're also partnered with the whole of Banks Peninsula, who you'll be hearing from soon, and this is a great opportunity for the Christchurch that you represent, the council area, for urban and rural pest control and predator control and ecological values coming together in a way that we haven't really come together so fully before. And so we're not asking for a separate thing. We're part of what they will be asking for. In that sense. Right? Yeah.
Thank you. Look, thank you for your presentation. I'll open it up to questions in a minute, but I just wanted to acknowledge you, Bill, and thank you for the incredible generosity to our city as represented by the park. And you know, it is just such a thrill to have you here. So I'm sorry for slightly going off track, but I just wanted to acknowledge you and thank you very much once again. So
Well, I believe the Port Hills and my wife were worth it.
yeah, totally. So Phil and then Jimmy and.
Thank you very much for your presentation and also for your work. I just want to ask you about, like you referred to funding, and I'm also interested in whether society is able to afford sort of state-of-the-art traps. I know that there's a lot of research goes into getting them right, and I know there's some very simple trapping methods too, but is that an area that you think you'd like to develop in at all? Or?
So in terms of the traps we offer, we're guided by the work of the Predator Free New Zealand Trust. So the traps are both humane and safe and easy to use for amateur trappers. So the traps that we offer are the A12, which is the Good Nature self-setting for possums, the A24, the wooden tunnel with the Victor professional rat trap, the Doc 200, and the Trapinator for possums. So we're really guided by that work that's being undertaken nationally in terms of what's safe, effective, and easy to use for the everyday trapper.
Good. Thanks, Mike.
Jimmy?
Thank you. Regarding your particular emphasis, urge the council to prioritize development of the Port Hill management plan. Your idea is whether it's a council working together with surrounding community or society to get as a partnership establish new integrated one, or just council to do it?
No, I think it's that we all work together collaboratively, but the council would lead it.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And Dan?
Thank you. Just that following on from Jimmy's question, lovely to see you again, Marie. I wondered if this was great work, thank you. The money, would you use that to develop that integration? Is that what you're thinking? Or how would, or the 60,000, or would it be for traps or equipment or staff? How would that work?
So that 60,000, the idea is that's a contestable fund that community groups can apply to.
Okay.
So it would be, you know, like we've been contacted by a group out at Waimari Beach who wants to get started with trapping, groups around Travis, wetlands, like a whole range of community groups could apply to that. To be honest, it's not so much us, it's us supporting those other groups who are just getting started.
Yeah. And it's a submission after next where we will hear all about the contestable fund proposal. So, look, thank you very much for your submission today, and thank you for coming. Thank you for making a submission. We do appreciate it when we hear from our communities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Carbines for the South Shore Residents Association.